Now I want to invite you to my ward. What I do for a living, I normally get a call, it would be a Friday afternoon, and I'm being asked by an organization that was hacked, come help us. What is an organization that hacked? Imagine the Japanese crypto exchange platform, the largest exchange platform in the world for cryptocurrency, that understand the $500 million were just stolen from them. What do? Imagine that you are a hospital, and that's a true story of the hospitals in the UK and Los Angeles, that get all their data encrypted. So imagine that you are the principal of this hospital, and you need to take a decision. Do I actually take operations, do surgeries the day after, when I understand that all my data is potentially tainted, or I don't have access to the data? By the way, the decision by the hospitals in the UK was to stop surgeries, to stop operations. 19,000 operations were cancelled just because data was not accessible. So if you are an organization that just had the cyber incident, you call a cyber incident response team and says, okay, help me. I want actually to understand what happened. I want to mitigate the damage. Normally, the mindset that we have in investigation is a reactive mindset. We said, okay, there was an incident. Let us investigate, understand what happened. Let's actually find the perpetrators. Let's bring them to justice. That's our mind thought. That's how we were raised, by the law enforcement system that believe that we can investigate, find evidence, and bring people to justice. But the problem is just not working anymore. I'll be very brief in explaining that, but how we did investigation. We're either following the money trail, trying to understand where is the money that was stolen. But the problem, the money now is being transferred by cryptocurrencies. We cannot actually follow the money that easily. We were following the communication, listening to perpetrators to understand what they are communicating about. But now we have more and more stealth communication, which is not only encrypted, but it's untapped. Like Telegram communication. We cannot actually tap the communication. Then we said, okay, let's follow the individuals. We probably have some suspects. But the truth of the matter, in most cases when we come, we just have some digital fingerprints, but very little data to work with to understand who might be the perpetrator. We don't have the suspects. And the last thing, which was very common, is follow the goods. Every investigator learned, go and follow the goods. Understand where the goods are. In the market, the stolen goods. The stolen kind of like products. However, the stolen products are now being sold on the darknet in a place that we cannot actually trace the goods and we don't follow the transactions. So there is a crisis in the law enforcement model. It was a reactive model, believing that we should penalize people for committing a crime, and once a crime happens, let's go and investigate it, assuming that we'll be able to find the perpetrator. It's not working anymore. What Hollywood brings us to the table? Can you play it? So, can you play it?
Positive for Howard Marks.
Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Duganos. Take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours and 4 minutes. Give the man his hand.
Well, let's not kid ourselves. We are arresting individuals who've broken no law.
But they will. The commission of the crime itself is absolute metaphysics. The pre-cons see the future, and they're never wrong.
Why'd you catch that? Because it was going to fall. You're certain? Yeah, but it didn't fall. You caught it.
This is Minority Report, a movie that actually influenced the full industry. The idea that we might have a different paradigm. Are we able with technology to actually predict crime and prevent it before it happens? In the Hollywood movie, it's actually Tom Cruise that is going to the crime scene. Just about the murderer is about to stab the victim, he throws his hand and says, "You're arrested for the murder of so-and-so." But he says, "I never committed a crime." So the fact that you didn't commit a crime is irrelevant. You were about to commit a crime. We thought it's a science fiction movie, but actually it's a reality. The reality now that is being brought both to law enforcement is actually trying to predict crime. We're using big data in order to try to analyze the data and understand where potentially a crime would happen and actually send increased surveillance and law enforcement to the region. But we also try to understand, based on the data and profiling, who is a likely perpetrator of a crime and who is a likely victim of the crime, and either go chase the perpetrator or warn the victim. That's how law enforcement start operating in countries around the world. But what it has to do with cyber is actually we're adapting this model for cybersecurity. Just as my friend Nadav Tzafir from Team 8 told us, we are going proactive. We understand that with current technologies, we're able to start predicting crime before it happens with artificial intelligence, preventing it, actually isolating our systems or preventing the crime before it happens, and detecting whether there's a suspicious activity that we should take action for. So that's actually how we do this. Can you shift the slide? Oh, sorry. Oh, no. For some reason, it's not working. So that's actually how we do it. How do we predict with artificial intelligence? First of all, we have technologies capable, just as we have technologies that do face recognition, they understand the pattern of my face and the patterns of the face presented to them. We use technologies as pattern recognition to understand what is the pattern of the crime. What are the steps taken that actually we should try to follow and detect? We try to sense an anomaly. We try to understand what is a normal behavior, when a person is coming to the office, what files they open, who they communicate with, and to sense where there's anomalous behavior, and predict what anomalous behavior is indicative of a cybercrime. We are profiling people. We ask ourselves whether AI can tell us what is the profile of a perpetrator. What is the normal profile? Gender, socio-demographic, income, ISP they're using, products they're using. Whether we can actually profile people we should look at. And then for the prevention, we're starting using technologies, artificial intelligence, which is capable to prevent at real time the crime before it happens. How do we do so? If we have the predictor, with artificial intelligence, we understand what we should look at. When we understand that the risk is too high, just a statistical bar, we stop the transaction. For any one of you, probably happened that credit card transaction was denied. What happened in the background? Technology, probably Israeli technology, like Forte or Riskified, assess what is the likelihood that this transaction is a legit transaction or anomalous transaction. If the risk score was too high, we would prevent the fraudulent transaction before it happened. We also detect, and that's a breakthrough. We have the assumption that people online are anonymous. We don't know who they are. But the truth of the matter, we now have the ability with technology to understand who is standing behind the computer, regardless if you tell your name or not. Because every individual have a different way to use the computer. Different behavior, the way that I hold the computer, my cognitive processes in following links, the device I'm using, the kind of the operating system, the combination of the software that I'm using and the platforms make me a unique signature. And more so, every individual have a unique linguistic signature. The way we type, the words we use, the structure of our sentences. So if we just now actually record it, we can understand that the suspicious person is again in our system. We have the technologies capable for that. And as Nadav said, we have entrapments. We said, let's not wait for the crime to happen. Let's put within our networks entrapments to wait for the perpetrators that would come to our networks. And if we do it, we have technologies that enable us to respond automatically. So I'll just wrap up by saying all of these technologies are no longer just the future thinking. Just as Minority Report told us what is the future of proactive security, we have Israeli technologies capable for each step, from the pattern recognition to anomaly detection, the profiling, to the risk prevention at real time, to the ability to detect that the same individual that is suspicious is coming to our system and track them, and also to do tracking of the assets that are stolen in real time. So for the first time, technology is capable of doing this proactive security. And actually, we have a paradigm shift. With artificial intelligence, we no longer believe that we should wait for the crime and react after the fact. We believe that if we act proactively and setting the AI technologies there, we'll be able to predict the crime and prevent it before it happens. And if the crime happens, we'll be able to trace the perpetrators through the signatures of their behavior that we spotted and spot the assets. It's a breakthrough. And in 10 years, Minority Report and the ethical questions that it raises would be the way that we deal with crime. Thank you very much.